Processing water at El Estero wastewater treatment plant and Cater filtration plant requires a lot of electricity, more than lighting the streets, running the airport, and powering all parks and recreation facilities in the city combined. Yet both treatment processes offer unique opportunities to get some of those kilowatts back.
Because water is heavy, it's 8.3 pounds per gallon. Anytime that there's a water pressure differential, there's an opportunity to use that energy differential to generate power.
At El Estero, energy is now being produced by a new facility that uses methane gas, a natural byproduct of the treatment process.
The methane gas then ultimately can be utilized as we have behind us with this reciprocating engine.
The cutting-edge facility is known as a cogeneration system because it produces both electricity and heat.
It's capable of producing about 700 kilowatts maximum. It runs about 500 kilowatts and provides most of the electricity and all of the waste heat that we need to run the El Estero wastewater treatment plant operations.
Currently, we're using the waste heat from the cogen facility to heat our digesters, and in the future we hope to use it for other beneficial purposes within the plant.
To put that into perspective, the cogen facility is producing enough electricity to power over 700 homes, and it's providing all that energy from something that used to be considered waste. In the past, that methane, being a potent greenhouse gas, was burned off, but now
the cogen facility is going to be able to burn virtually all the digester gas that's produced here at the El Estero plant. And with that, it will be producing between 500,000 and 600,000 kilowatt hours per month.
We have a savings right now on average of about $60,000 a year. So just in terms of savings, it's a good deal. Of course, as the electricity rates escalate over time, the savings will become greater.
the savings become greater because the city has locked in its rates through what's called a power purchase agreement. This agreement also enabled the city to have the facility installed with no upfront costs.
A power purchase agreement is when you have an agreement with a third party, they put up all the upfront capital for a generating system like the cogeneration system, and then we agree to purchase power at a certain cost over time. At the El Estero wastewater treatment plant, we're buying electricity for 8.49 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's at a flat rate over 10 years.
At the end of the 10-year contract, the city will have two options.
If the equipment is still in good shape, we could purchase the equipment at a negotiated price, or we could extend the contract and renegotiate a rate for continued service.
Over at Lowell Reservoir, engineers are using technology that's a little bit older, by like a few thousand years. Taking advantage of high-pressure water coming from Gibraltar Reservoir, the city is about to become a hydropower producer. In this case, it's a bit of deja vu because the city installed a turbine here in the 1980s, only to have it doomed by red tape and economics.
Several things occurred. One, because the plant was constructed on federal land, the city had to get a Federal Energy Regulatory Commission license, which over time proved very onerous and expensive. In addition to that, the city's compensation for sale of power to Edison dropped. So our expenses were up, our revenue was down, didn't make any economic sense to continue. So in 1998, the plant was decommissioned.
But now the city has acquired the land, negating the need for a permit, and state law has been changed, enabling renewable energy producers to obtain better rates.
That resulted in the city being able to capture a very good price for the amount of energy we sell to Edison. And so it'll be fixed for 20 years. So we have assurance of a solid revenue stream for 20 years, which is actually 2.5 times what we were getting when the plant was originally operating.
After the equipment that connects the hydroelectric plant to the grid is updated, the system will produce enough electricity to power 200 to 300 homes.
The revenue is projected to be $210,000 per year on average. The running costs of the plant are going to be fairly minimal because it's what they call rotating equipment. You know, the turbine, the generator, rotating equipment requires minimal maintenance. So $600,000 construction costs, $200,000 a year in revenue, some expenses, they're fairly minor initially. So payback 3 or 4 years, it's going to be fairly quickly. We'll recover our costs, and from then on, the money will go into the city's water fund.
And even though Gibraltar Reservoir is very low and silting up, the city will still have enough water to supply the hydroelectric plant.
What we'll be doing is taking what they call run-of-the-river water through the Gibraltar Reservoir. So we will still keep getting water from Gibraltar Reservoir. It will combine with infiltration water from the Mission Tunnel, and those two sources will continue to power the hydroelectric plant.
You heard right. The city receives a considerable amount of water just from seepage into the 3.7-mile-long Mission Tunnel.
It's a big source. You know, the city uses about 14,000 acre-feet of water a year, but 1,000 acre-feet comes from Mission Tunnel alone.
By installing facilities like the Laurel Reservoir Hydroelectric Plant and El Estero Cogen facility, the city will save ratepayers money, help the environment by reducing CO2 emissions, and set a positive example for municipalities everywhere.
I really believe that in California that the city of Santa Barbara is a leader in energy conservation and the development of renewable energy, and just being smart about how we do these things. And a lot of people come to us and asking questions about how we do things. So it's really a great place to do fun stuff with energy.